Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa Whyte as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to Mindset Mastery Moments. Today we are diving into a topic that most leaders overlook, yet it might be the most powerful tool for clarity, creativity, and resilience. It's called strategic rest. My guest today, Dr. Erin Wilson, is not only the co-author of Strategic Rest in Leadership, but also the CEO of Design Ideal Consulting. God, I'm loving this girl already. She's the leadership consultant who has worked with organizations worldwide. She's helped teams to thrive through relationship, intelligence, intentional leadership, and yes, the power of rest. Dr. Erin Wilson is a mission-driven, purpose-focused, transformational coach leader. She leads teams to thrive by integrating relationship intelligence, and I told you that crazy thing that I can't wait to her tell us, strategic rest, because y'all know I'm a recovering workaholic, right? She also talks about designing your life around intentionality. As the CEO of Design Ideal Consulting, she has spent over a decade designing transformative team building experiences for organizations. She is a certified expert in core strengths, the five behaviors, and everything this. Erin equips teams with tools to communicate, collaborate, and lead with impact. She's also the co-founder of Strategic Rest Summit and the co-author of the Strategic Rest Leadership Challenge. She is here to teach us how to implement rest in our leadership, in our entrepreneurial, and she's going to bring so much more because we had a ball just having some really good girl time and boss lady business behind the scenes. Erin, sister, Dr. Erin Wilson, welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments officially. In your own words, tell us who you are.
Thank you so much. I could not be more excited to be here. Like you said, this podcast really did start before we even hit play. We have just been really vibing,
Yes.
right, on who we are. And so you kind of told just the perfect story. You're so good at that, Alisa. But I'm Dr. Erin Wilson. I'm the principal consultant and CEO, of course, at Design Ideal Consulting. And I really help teams and individuals through executive coaching unlock their full potential through relationship intelligence, through my signature framework, strategic rest, which we'll talk about, the NAP framework to really help you understand how to use rest as fuel, how to use it as your superpower instead of seeing it as something that's a reward that we just try to run towards the end of the week. And my mission is really simple. It really is to transform leaders. I've had some phenomenal opportunities to be able to do that with people all over the world. And so it's incredibly important for me. It's my purpose and passion to help organizations, to help teams, to help people achieve sustainable success. And so that's what I get to do. One of the things that brought me to this space is really experiencing hustle culture,
Mm.
really that like I had to do all, be all, see all, know all. And it literally almost killed me. And that literally almost killed me. Due to trying to show up for everyone, I burnt out and really experienced my very first stress induced seizure. And I knew something had to change, that there was something else, that this can't be how life is meant to live. And so, not only from that going like it has to be different, I also decided to be intentional about how I would use my time and talents to make the world a better place. And so, I didn't write this book because I have completely mastered rest. I still have to use my framework constantly.
Yes.
But I wrote it because I was chasing leadership titles and
Mhm.
really just realized that rest was not a luxury. It was a survival strategy.
Whoa, rest is not a luxury. It is a survival strategy. That is so powerful. Dr. Erin, I love the way you reframe boldness. So many people believe you have to wait until you are fearless to step out. And that is the one thing I've been addressing, as I told you later, across all my social media platforms. And you and I have literally, we keep finding more ways, as we even spoke about our own platforms, to become more fearless. You say that boldness
Yes.
starts with clarity, not courage. Ooh, and that's the same thing I've been saying. So she's going to
It
reinforce something the only she can. Can you share what shifted for you when you discovered that courage over clarity? Or is it clarity over courage? Am I saying no,
absolutely.
it
To
boldness
to
starts
me,
where
it's
clarity is, not
clarity over
courage. Yeah.
it's 100% clarity over
Mm-hmm.
courage, right? Understanding what you're called to do will help you move even when you're shaking in your boots, right?
Yes.
It should. You have everything you need in order to move forward. The difference between people who have something that you see that maybe is something that you want or have a goal in mind to do, one of the biggest things that separates
Mm-hmm.
people from that is inaction, right?
Yes.
We have gotten into a space where we feel like just because people have moved or are doing or are creating, that they are somehow braver than us, right? And I would dare to say that they're not, but they are being bolder than maybe you
Yeah.
are sitting in your inaction
Right.
in this moment, right? It doesn't mean, and we talked about this, just because you move forward doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. But there's somewhere along the lines that people stop believing in the fact that we've got experience, we've got talent, knowledge, and that helps us understand what our strengths are. So that even when we move into spaces that we're unfamiliar with, we've got things in our backpack of tools to help us work our way through, even if we hit a mountain,
Yes.
even if we need to repair the street to get across, even if we need to create a bridge. So we can't be fearful. We have to realize that it doesn't require us to be brave to be bold, right? If something doesn't exist that you want to have, for me, I knew that I love sharing knowledge with people and I love sharing it live so that I can interact with folks. So I said, nobody's handing me a show. So let me go over to YouTube and make
Right.
one, right? And that's how Power Nap Live over on YouTube. That took action. It took me hitting record in order for it to happen, right?
Exactly.
So you do not have to be brave. This is one of the things that you say a lot is that if I have to sign the permission slip for you,
This is
right?
it.
I am doing that. But this is both of us.
Yes.
This is me as well as Alisa signing your permission slip to not have to be brave
Yes.
in order to take that first bold step towards the life that you want to
You
live.
have to. And intentionality is so important behind you being able to accomplish what it is you say you want. And there's, like, I always talk about having that little toolbox. And today, Dr. Erin is reinforcing what I've been talking about recently is clarity. Clarity. And I love that she says clarity over courage. That
Yes.
is something that you're never going to have enough courage because number one, imposter syndrome is going to try to slow you down. Sometimes FOMO is going to try to slow you down. The fear of missing out. Like, okay, if I start doing a podcast, I'm going to miss, Sunday dinners. I'm going to miss baseball games. And I understand, but you can strike a balance because if you have clarity that you are called to have this YouTube or this podcast or maybe this writing this book, then everything else, if you start to figure out how to move in the direction of that, I promise you things will fall into place. But you got to make sacrifices. So, Dr. Erin, here's a question I have for you. What does clarity look like in practice for leaders and entrepreneurs who feel stuck? What does that really look like?
That's a fantastic question that I get asked a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I often get people who go, Erin, Dr. Erin, like, I want to talk to you. I want to jump into the consulting space, right? And I go, come on, there's plenty of water out here in the pool for all of us, right? But the first question that I ask them, right, is who are you talking to? Now, most people go, oh, I want to help everybody. I love everybody. I've got information that can help anybody. So I'm willing to do that. And as soon as people say that, I go, figure out who you're talking to. And then I'm happy to help you after that. Right? Then reschedule the meeting. We can talk at a later date. But until you know who you are talking to, then it really does become incredibly hard for you to have clarity, right? For me, I know that I am talking to leaders who have not yet understood how to tap into the unique skills, the unique strengths that they have. For me, it was life changing to understand the positive psychology of understanding that I didn't have to be good at everything, right? I only needed to be fantastic at the things that I'm naturally great at, and I could build a life, a career around that. Right. And so that's incredibly important for people to be able to do. So if you're a leader who's looking for that, then we're going to have fantastic
Right.
conversations. If you're someone who is high performing, but feels like literally there's steam about to come out of your ears because you're about to burn out, then I'm someone that you would talk to about how to integrate a strategic rest into your life so that you have the space to do the things that you want to do and show up as the best version of yourself,
Right.
right? So outside of that, if those are not the people, then you've got to know who you're talking to, or you're just yelling out into an abyss,
Yeah.
right? So that's the first stage. Who are you talking to? Who do you want to help? Who, if they hear your message about your experience, is the person that will be transformed? And for folks like us, I know this because we talked about
Yes.
it. If there's one leader that hears my message saying, listen, I'm not saying you have to be good at everything, but you need to be good at the unique skill, the unique strengths that have been given to you. And that sometimes they're hard for us to see what they look like. I do a fantastic session called Leaning into Your Strengths and have done it for corporations, teams, universities. I literally just left Goodwill. We were talking to some of their leaders yesterday and did this session for them around maximizing their leadership through understanding their unique skills and then through strategic rest, right? So one of the examples that I always give them is when I'm in the car, right? Immediately when I get in my car, I do two things. I put on my seatbelt, safety
Yeah.
first, right? And then no matter what, even if I know where I'm going, I still plug the address into a GPS, right?
Exactly.
Now, for most people, they would go, oh, are you doing that to look at what the traffic looks like? Are you wayfinding? What does that seem like? But for me, it's for one critical piece of information: how long
Take
it'll
me to
take me
get
to get
there.
there, the time.
Yes.
I want to know the time.
Yes.
So for me, if it says that it's going to be 8:24 when I get there, I go, oh, I can do that in 8:22. Right? Now, most people wouldn't see that as something that it is, but it's honestly one of my skills of
Gee.
strategy. There are many people who are listening to this that would go, I don't care about that. My husband is one of those people. When he gets in the car, he just
La,
drives,
la,
right?
la, la,
There's
la,
no
la. He's just enjoying his
strategy.
ride.
He's not the He's just driving. He's vibing. He's listening to music. He is just driving. He's not thinking about, oh, is this car trying to get in front of me? What if I take this other street here? Will this shave off time? But I am.
Yeah.
And even from that tiny life thing, it allowed me to understand one of my skills that has allowed me to make six figures in my consulting firm, right? It's allowed me to be fantastic when I worked in corporate and when I worked in higher ed and when I worked in nonprofit. I am a strategist no matter where I am. It's important for leaders, for women, for anybody to unlock what their unique skills are. And that's who I am. And I have clarity in that. So to me, every other entrepreneur should seek to have clarity about who you are helping, who you're talking to.
That's exactly it. And that's, I'll say, what I found in my journey, and a lot of entrepreneurs or intended business professionals, and even individuals coming out of college looking for work, is they're not sure where or who they want to serve. what group and which area they want to be in, and they get overwhelmed by it a lot. What do you say to, let's speak specifically to entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurship is at an all-time high across the globe. And statistics is showing that women of color across the globe are responsible for the large number one women, and then women as a subsection, women of color as a subsection of women, that are even higher numbers that are starting businesses. What is responsible for that level of clarity that women are able to step into space and know who to serve? Speak to the woman and the woman of color, since we represent that demographic so well, that is like, I really want to start my consulting. I really want to do coaching. I really want to go out there and start a healthcare business, but I don't know who or how I even know who I should serve. What do you tell her?
Yeah. So the first thing that I would say, right, is for me it was important to find something that brought me joy so that it never felt like work. Even the moments that I wasn't getting paid for, there were times. Now I can charge people thousands of
Right?
dollars
Exactly.
to go and talk and to go and to consult and to come and do engaging and phenomenal sessions with my effervescent energy,
Right?
right? But some of my first payments were Starbucks
Come on.
cards, right? And I was
You loved it though.
excited
You
about
felt on
that.
top of the world though.
See, I said, I can't believe somebody's paying me in cappuccino.
Me to tell them what I already know and I've been knowing.
Correct. And to get this feeling.
Yeah.
There have been times where I have not felt well before I did a session, and the energy that comes to me when I'm helping people have these light bulb moments and presenting feels like nothing I can even completely explain to people, right? So the first thing is, what is bringing you joy? And one of the things that I have to talk about specifically, especially when we're talking to women of color, is we tend to be good at a lot of stuff,
Yes,
okay?
we
A lot
do.
of it.
Yes.
And the noise of being good at multitasking, being good at all the things, is that it's hard to narrow down onto what you actually are called to do, right? I know that I'm called to tell people about how they can transform their lives around emotional intelligence, having a high level of relationship intelligence, to me, even deeper than emotional intelligence, having people literally understand that they don't have to have the same strengths as me in order to be incredibly successful, and that you find spaces that lend to the strengths that you have. And then also saying pauses are powerful. Right? Those are the three things. And each of those conversations, no matter who it's with, bring me joy, whether I hear my bank account go cha-ching or
Yeah.
not.
I
Right?
love that.
Now, do I prefer the cha-ching?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Do I prefer the high cha-ching? Absolutely, right? We're not here, I'm not gonna cap, okay, as the young folks would say.
Yes.
Am gonna say that even sometimes when my conversations are pro bono, right? Or there's an organization where the women need to hear, or whoever needs to hear the message that I have, and I do it for something that doesn't necessarily fit exactly what most people pay for it, I'm invigorated. It's what pours back into
Nothing
me.
like it.
So that is where to start, right? What are the things that you talk about, that you do, that you love, that you want to share, that are part of what you're called to do? And the way to know that is how you feel when it's
Mm,
happening. If no one pays you a cent to do it, you would still do it. You'd still love it. You still be happy that you're living in a moment where you get to do that. And to me, that is the first step. And honestly, one of the largest steps, because once you know that, then do it.
exactly. I love that. So, so powerful. So much strategy. I told you all it's going to be power packed and there's going to be a lot of gems. I hope you have your notepads. I know there are quite a few of you checking in on LinkedIn. Just put something in the chat, because at the end, we're definitely going to check in. If you have questions wherever you're watching, we're going to check to see for those, to give Dr. Erin a couple of Q&A. She'll answer a couple of questions before we go. But let me ask you this. What is one mindset trap you find people fall into a lot when they're trying to be bold? Back. One of the things with me, Dr. Erin, it's like I would get stuck around analysis paralysis. And I wrote about that last
Mhm.
week because that was one of the places where I stuck. I would be like, okay, so, everything in X, I use the word excellence, but I say that nothing is wrong with that. That's perfect. But for someone who's moving into the space of their purpose, which is sometimes a lot of times new territory, it's more entrepreneurial, there's risk involved. That is actually more perfectionist, and it's actually a
Yes.
way of holding myself back and delaying getting out in front of what it is I'm supposed to be doing. So, what are some of those other things that people find themselves in that mindset loop that's really holding them back from being bold and stepping out that you see that you can help us move through?
Absolutely. Listen, I just had a conversation with someone who had the mindset that about to say right now,
Uh-huh.
right? And it's one that to me is not unique because I've had this conversation
Over and over.
over and over and over, right? It is, I need to get this certification, or I need to have this, or I don't have enough years of,
Mm.
or maybe if I wait one more year, then people will
Stop it.
stop, right? Stop it. There are other people around you who every day you consume their content, you read their books, you see them on TV, that never worried once about whether or not they were qualified to tell you the
And they're
information that they are
telling you it's
telling
just their
you.
experience for
It's
one
just their
time.
experience. It's just their
Yes.
experience. So, what discounts you from not just sharing your experience, right? There are people out there who are waiting to hear your experience. We are in a space, in a place where we have the opportunity for there to be many ways for people to lock in to just your experience. You said this to me just a little while ago, and so I want to share it because it really did inspire me, that the way you say it may be the way that someone else needs to hear it, even though 1,000 people are saying it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I stand behind it.
Exactly. It is the same. It's so important to understand that you may be the
That's
vessel
right.
in which someone needs to be poured into, and that your message is important. I have to tell people all the time because they're always scared. Oh, what if I don't? Somebody else is already doing this?
Yes.
And I go, okay, does that mean there's no more real estate? People can follow more than one
Come
person, they can
on. There's
have more
so
than one,
much. There's 8 billion plus people on the planet. And there's
and
just
they
a few of
can
us who actually
like,
even bold enough to speak because that is the biggest fear.
ex-
People fear speaking more than death. So
yes.
open your
And
mouth.
open your mouth. And there it is, right? There is the clarity and there is the boldness that I'm calling people to do, right? Calling entrepreneurs to be bold, because that's what's
Yes.
required in this season for sure. That's what's required to get out here and to be, I do this every day, scared. And we're talking to somebody, I love a good lifestyle, okay?
Come on. You and me too.
Your
We're both
your
Libras.
girl,
Secret, if we don't
I
already look like twins, we were already born like pretty much the same day. So we're Libras.
listen, I had to be incredibly bold to walk away from a W-2 that was hitting my page, hitting my bank account every 2 weeks, that allowed for me to get all of the things that I wanted to get,
Yes.
to live where I wanted to live, to drive where I wanted to drive. And fortunately, I have a fantastic, and we talked about that too,
Yes.
support
Yes.
system through my phenomenal husband.
Yes.
But walking away from
That was
that
still
was
a
one of
security blanket for sure.
it was one of the scariest things I have ever experienced in my life. And the scare didn't stop just because I walked out, just because I said bye to the people. It happens every day, but I always choose to be bold. I choose to show up as the best version of myself. I choose to give the best product and the best sessions to every last one of my clients who believe in the work that I do and call me in to their corporation to talk to their teams, call me into their universities to talk to their students and their staff people. I show up and do absolutely my best and know that it's the thing that's going to continue to carry me forward. But if you never walk into those spaces, then how do you ever how do you ever get what you're trying to get, right?
You got to
And
move.
it's scary. One of the things that people to me don't talk about enough, and that's why it's important for us to talk about as people who are entrepreneurs and moving further into that space, is that one of the things for me, especially about 2 months in, right? Things were going really well for me, clients were coming, all of those different things. So it wasn't like I was lacking the financial reinforcement of walking away from my job. But one of the things that had me so, oh my, had me on the floor of my office, laying on my carpet, going like, did I do the right thing? Was literally that I had gotten so used to, right? The privileges of being fantastic at my job where people would let me come and go as I please and do all of these different things that I had started to go, well, what if I go back to that feel good, that safety,
Mm,
right? What if I go back to allowing people to tell me what I can do with my time? What if I go back to the ceiling? Because there's only a
yeah,
certain amount that you can make when you work for other people, but for me, the
ceiling.
the limit is endless, right? But I had to sacrifice the feeling of safety for the feeling of boldness, and that's what has paid off for me.
That's what bought you your freedom because now you have your time. You get to decide where you go, when you go. You can be in Boston, you can be in South Africa, you can be in the UK,
Absolutely.
you can be in Arizona,
Absolutely.
doing exactly what
Absolutely.
you love to do, but on your own terms. No one is telling you
On
you can't say this and you can't say that. You get to do, and that's the
Absolutely.
price of freedom. Do it while your knees are
It's the
shaking.
price.
Do it while your voice is
It's the
shaking. It's
price.
the price, but it's worth it. That's what you're
It's the
telling us.
price. But it's worth every cent that you pay for it, and it is scary. Freedom is scary. When did we start thinking freedom wasn't scary?
And it ain't free.
It ain't
You gotta
free.
buy your freedom.
Freedom ain't free. If you don't hear anything else today, freedom ain't free and it ain't safe. It,
Yes.
it is scary.
Yes. And
Freedom
two
is
doctors
scary and
just
it
said
ain't
ain't because it ain't.
free.
This is not something you see not.
Exactly. We gonna
This is an ain't
because I
situation.
know freedom is not free and it is not without fear.
No, that's
Okay?
the price. You
But
gotta
it's
trade it in.
okay to experience fear. It's natural to experience fear.
Yes.
We should. Often on the other side of fear is some of the most phenomenal experiences that we will ever experience. Some of the most amazing pieces of your work coming to fruition are on the other side of the fear that you feel. And I don't even want to say the other side. I never not
It's right in
feel
there. It's like
fearful.
a part of the soup. It's like an ingredient. Because if you're growing and going higher in what it is you're called to do, you're going to be afraid at every level on different ways, on different days for different things. Just get used to it.
Yes.
It's like I'm used to feeling that pit in my
Yes.
stomach. And if I don't feel, I'm like, should I be doing this?
Yes.
This feels awkward. Something ain't right.
And I would even go deeper than that. If you stop feeling fear, you're not pushing yourself
Good for it enough.
toward you're not pushing yourself hard enough.
Absolutely. It doesn't
You're
mean
not
that
even
it's not, we're not talking about the trauma response. Okay. We're
Yes,
talking about you being in a comfort zone. Because if you're not feeling
correct.
fear, if you don't feel like it's uncomfortable, if you don't feel like it's challenging, if you feel like, oh my God, what if I completely suck? What if I completely feel you are in a comfort zone? And as Dr. Kareem R. Ellis say, hey, Dr. Kareem, hey, only dead things fit in comfort zones. That's a casket. And they comfortable as ever up in there, but they ain't going nowhere. I mean, you know what dead things do? They're just dead. So that's the only
They're just
time as an
there.
entrepreneur, as a leader, as a strategic innovator, you're going to be not feeling fear. So get used to it. It's part of the formula. It's a secret sauce to the
Yes,
Oprah Winfrey's, to the Elon
yes,
Musk of the world. Let me tell you
yes,
something. Those guys, those gals, they are great because they didn't wait to have all the courage. They just had clarity. And here's the thing, Erin, if you don't mind me
yes.
taking it this when it comes to clarity, Please
Right.
know it's not clarity about where you're going to be in the next 10 years and exactly how you're going to get there. Please. That is not what
Correct.
Dr. Aaron and I are saying. We are saying that you're going to have clarity about who you're going to serve and that you need.
And that you need to serve them. Absolutely. That's the clarity. That's it, period. And I would even add to that, you know who you are,
You know who you
right?
are.
I know what I
You know who
bring.
you are
When
and why
people
you
ask
are.
for yes, and whose, depending on
Then you believe.
what you
New,
believe, right?
who's, who, and what, and why.
Okay. But I know, and that's to me why it's important for you to have a phenomenal network is too, as you get to know people, right?
Yes.
Because as soon as someone goes outside of something that doesn't match
Hmm.
what my excellent skills are, the skills that I'm saying are the things that are unique to me and natural to me and that I am excellent at, I go, I love that you trusted me with this conversation, but I have a fabulous consultant colleague over here
Yes.
that let me connect you guys to do that specific
Yes.
work, right?
Absolutely.
So the clarity 100%, you're absolutely right. The clarity we're talking about is understanding who you are serving, who are you talking to, who's your end user,
Hmm.
right? And then how you can use your strengths to serve those folks.
Yes.
After that, pivoting will be incredibly important for you to thrive,
Yes.
right? Want to just survive in our businesses. We want to thrive
Yes.
in the businesses that we decide to do because people can literally feel that. When I go and do facilitations and sessions with people, one of the things that I get the most when people come, of course they go, I had the best time. We laughed. That went so fast. I was not looking forward to doing professional development training. And this hours felt like minutes because you're that fantastic, right?
Yes.
But one of the things that people come to me and say, and that's the one that hits me the hardest, is I can tell that you love this.
Yes.
And if when you are doing the work that you do, no matter where, I'm going to even say, even if you're doing it for a W 2
Come
at this
on.
point, right?
Yes. Yes. Because I've been there.
At this point, right? Okay, because that's up to you whenever you decide to make that to choose bravery, right? And sometimes you don't have to. Both of us are people who
Done both.
hybrided.
Yes.
I didn't just jump straight out.
Come
I
on.
had clients. I set myself up for success.
Yes.
So I was hybrid for a very long time. For 5 years, I owned my consulting firm before I decided to hop,
Leave the W
to
2 world.
jump off into the entrepreneur space full time. But if people can't tell, especially in a space where you get to create,
Yes.
that you love what you do, then maybe that ain't it. Maybe that's not that. Maybe that's why it hasn't
Worked
worked
out for
out for
you because
you.
you're only because here's the thing, and Dr. Aaron, we talked about this before we got on the podcast about people just only taking guidance from what they see in mainstream media and not going with the intuitive guidance of what God has called them to do and how He's called them to show up in this season.
Yes.
And that's the thing
Yes.
about uniqueness. Like, there's no one that pulls a note the way Mariah does. Even though Whitney goes
Yes.
high and Mariah goes high, you know the difference between a Mariah and a Whitney because they're too busy
Yes.
being Whitney when it's time for Whitney and Mariah when it's time to be Mariah. And we love them both. And we
Yes.
would spend money to go
Yes.
both their concerts and buy their CDs
Yes.
because there's enough
Yes.
people. But when the only reason they are doing so well, and speak as Whitney's still with us, the only reason they have done so well is because they were walking in their version of music and singing.
Correct.
They did
Correct.
that, and so you gotta do that. You can't worry about what's trending. Yes, there's certain business
Yes.
strategies that tools you might use that other people are using, but the minute you start trying to be an
Yes.
Erin or an Elisa, you're gonna lose
Yes.
track. You can't say, "Oh, Elisa's
Yes.
doing podcasts about mindset. It must be that it's so great, so I'm gonna do mindset." No, you're not. You wanna understand what is the formula Elisa is using to get her podcast in front of so many people and attract international guests who are impacting at high levels, high achieving, multimillionaire levels, six-figure levels. You
Yes.
want to understand the formula. You don't want to worry about what I'm talking about. You don't even want to talking to because maybe you need to talk about how to make a sneakers clean. Maybe you need to talk about how to cook a pot of jumbo, the 5 and 100
Yes,
ways how to cook a pot of jumbo. And you talk about that on podcast till you don't have no more to teach. And now you're talking about how to make chicken feet soup. And I know that sounds gross, but in the Caribbean, we love chicken feet soup. God darn it. But what I'm saying is be you, understand formula, not copycatting. That's the problem.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that ties in so well because that is the work that I do with leaders and teams.
Talk to us
For
about it.
some reason, we've been tricked into thinking that we have to follow a blueprint for the way that success exists, right?
Bring that.
And that's not it's just not the case. There are things that you should look over into somebody else's lane, learn and glean, but ultimately stay in your lane. I talked about that literally last week on my on my you're making me say
It is your
podcast because that's the
podcast.
case.
Yes.
But on my YouTube show, which will now be a podcast, of course, because Doc told me I gotta move into
Got to
that
move into
space.
pod.
But I literally talked about that, staying in your lane.
Mhm.
It's okay to peek over and see because sometimes that keeps you safe. You learn things from looking,
Yes.
but your lane is your lane. And oftentimes, if we're spending so much time trying to look into other people's lanes and see what they're doing, we miss time building who we are.
Yes.
People bring me in to do sessions because my brand of energy, my excitement, my knowledge is mine.
Yes.
Erin is the only one who can do that because I'm uniquely Erin,
Yes.
right? And so helping leaders understand what they do uniquely and then take that to levels of excellence is what assessments that I use, like core strengths, total SDI through my consulting firm, that's what it does,
Ooh,
helping you understand and then ultimately moving it into how do you create and use your relationships to leverage those to get the results that you want. Do you understand how you are motivated so that you're able to advocate for yourself in spaces? Do you know how you experience conflict, right? Because lots of people don't, and most people don't even know the difference between conflict and opposition, which is one of the things that I talk to leaders about. What are your strengths and how do people perceive some of your strengths when you overdo them? Those are all things that I talk about with my executive coaching clients and specifically with corporations, universities, and teams all across the country. Because self awareness is one of the most important strategies we have. And I truly believe that self awareness is also one of the pieces that allows you to jump into that bravery piece
come on.
as you're moving forward.
I love that. I love the way you serve, and that was what was so attractive about your work when we first connected. And I was like, this needs to go as far as it can. So if you all are listening here, we do have Dr. Erin's website. You can check it out here at designidealconsulting.com already and see how you want to connect with her. Dr. Erin, let's talk about that strategic rest as a leadership tool because this is fascinating to me. I haven't met anyone who is who this is one of their focus areas to help leaders grow. You've challenged that hustle mindset in such a refreshing way. You talk about rest as not a reward, but as a competitive advantage, right? That is absolutely powerful. Why do you believe rest is one of the most overlooked leadership strategies today?
Well, here's the thing, right? Strategic rest is kind of to me is what happens when ambition meets wisdom. Okay? When ambition meets wisdom. That's exactly what it is, right? So I shared a little bit of my story when we started this, right? I was chasing titles. It literally made me ill, right? For
Mm,
folks who missed it, I literally had a stress induced seizure because I was staying late, coming in early. Y'all have heard the stories. You've seen them. You're related to people who have shared that same story
yes.
as the Black woman who is doing it all,
Right.
right? So I don't have to retell you that information.
Exactly.
But what I started to see is that a couple things. People who had access to more wealth than me were people who vacationed and took their time to do things when they needed to do it. They optimized getting time back because they knew how precious it was, and understanding that downtime is important for you to be able to have clarity and creativity to come up with the next phase, the next stage, the next wonderful idea that will be the thing that pushes you into the next space. I worked for a phenomenal boss. And one of the things that I started to notice about her is that she did two key things that allowed her to be able to me, practice what I didn't know at the time until myself, Dr. Kelly Dixon, and I
Hey,
wrote
Dr.
this book
Kelly.
together. Yes, shout out to her. Until we wrote this book, had named it Strategic Rest, but I saw her use that as a leadership strategy. When she was not at work, she took her time off. She made sure that she hired people who were experts in what they did so that all she had to do was to remove roadblocks from us. When she was gone, she didn't stress about what was going on there. She was enjoying her time away. And whenever she would come back, she would pull us all together and go, "These are the things I thought about while I was gone,"
She didn't
right?
call y'all while she was there. I love
No,
that
she
for
would be
us.
on her vacation.
Yes.
When she would come back, she would pull us into a meeting or the next meeting that we would have. And she goes, "Let me tell y'all about some of the things that I thought about while I was away." And the ideas, the wealth of knowledge she would come back with because she literally took time to step away allowed her to build such successful departments. People would come to her and go, "How do I do this?" Or, "Can we put this with your department because we know it will thrive?" And I watched this woman who did this have 40-year span career and be one of the most decorated kind of higher education individuals around the country. People knew her name in rooms everywhere. And I watched her do it, and it came from her actually taking time to think strategically. And the way she did that was through rest, right? It was literally her competitive edge. And I'm over here going, I'm working, but I never have time to even think about what the next thing is, to think about my next business idea, to think about what I'm even going to be bold about, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm just running. So for us, and especially Dr. Dixon and I, when we wrote this book together, it was literally born out of us looking for ways to experience rest, right? We had a Zoom conversation and I was like, "I'm exhausted. Like, what are people out here doing?" She was like, "Me too," right? And so we were like, "We need to hold each other accountable.
Yes.
We need to be resting so we can do things." And so that it was born out of us monthly having a mastermind, right? Around how we were taking care of ourselves.
Yes.
And we started to see that we were able to do so many more things, even though we were starting to schedule the way we rested. And that helped us write our book. And we wanted other people to experience what that looks like. So we wrote the NAP framework,
The
which
nap
is
framework.
the NAP framework. I know that's so cute. Every time I say it, it makes me smile because it's so cute. We're so creative. I love it.
I love it,
But
and I have
so
to
the
get me a
NAP
copy because I love
framework,
naps, listen.
you know, me too, right? And if a nap is the way that you feel most rested, then that's phenomenal. But what we discovered is that there's other ways to feel rested that are not necessarily sleep, right?
Come on.
And that by using our framework, the NAP framework, which is nurture, I'll tell you a little bit about
Yes,
it.
let's get
So the
into
N
that.
stands for nurture. And that's really about nurturing not only your body, but also like your mind
Mm,
and your boundaries so that you're able to sustain your leadership energy. Okay. Or your energy, period,
yes,
is what that nurture piece is about. And we found in that space that, yes, of course, taking naps, if that's what's, or sleeping the right amount of hours is fantastic. But we also found two other areas in there. The first one was, well, not necessarily the first one, but one of them was actually creating communities, right? Around rest and having a community. How many people, I know you have, if you're listening to this, you have been exhausted on the weekend, but you hook up with your favorite person, like me now with Dr.
Our energy.
Alisa,
We
okay?
couldn't even
I
get
feel so
started.
energized. We laughed and talked. We couldn't even, y'all, we were supposed to tape this hours ago and be gone, but we were just chatting and I got so much energy
Yes,
from
we
what we were
did.
doing,
Live
right?
wires we are.
So yes. So if you're not surrounding yourself in a community where you're able to be around people that also, when you hook up with them, when you vibe with them, even just sitting sometimes in the same place with them, working on your goals or whatever it is, that you're not gleaning energy. The second piece of that is learning. Oftentimes we undervalue that learning can be a huge part of how we can feel rested, right?
Yes.
I went to a DJ class a few months ago. I
No,
was
you
telling somebody
didn't.
about
I
that, and
love that. It's
I was
fire.
in there like DJ Duchess. And before I went, I was feeling like, I was like, oh, why did I sign up to do this on the weekend? Like I wanted to rest and all kind of stuff. The minute I got in there, the music started, I started to learn about, first of all, if there's any DJs in the chat, please let us know.
Yes, I was
Drop
looking
an
for it.
emoji because
Yes.
y'all's job is hard work,
You got the
okay?
respect for the
But
DJ. I never attempted it, but it looks fun.
it is tough. I don't know how they do it. And then people come up and request stuff and they're listening to like the RMPs and all kinds of stuff. I'm probably saying that wrong. But whatever the case is, it gave me such a respect in a learning situation. And so learning, is there something that you want to know? Google it, right? And just go down a rabbit hole of learning. But that can also help you feel rested, right? So it's also about finding the ways that work for you. For some people, it's working out. For me, it's, finding me a nice little luxury spa. Sometimes it's just doing a staycation up the street in a hotel and figuring out the next stage of what I'm going to do in my business or how I'm going to support the people, the leaders who I do work for all the time. But for you, what is it, right? How do you do it? Through your community, through other people? How do you do it? Through learning? And how do you do it? By taking care of your energy, okay?
Right.
So that's nurture. So then next is assess, okay? The A is for assess. And that's really one of the things that a lot of us don't do well is assessing what's working and what's not working. We keep pushing sometimes way further than we should be pushing it, and it makes us fall right off the cliff,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So we need to be having real conversations with ourselves, and that's what you do in the NAP framework to ask yourself and assess what's working, what's not working, because self-awareness is really the gateway to transformation.
Oh,
It
yes,
truly
it
is,
is. Yes,
right?
it is.
And then finally, after you nurture, after you assess and really ask yourself assess what's working, what's not working, heighten that self-awareness piece, it's time for you to prioritize, right?
Mm,
So prioritize your well-being, even the way that you prioritize your goals, but you have to do that strategically as well as consistently, right? And it's a cycle. You consistently do that all the time, asking yourself and using the NAP framework to help you decide each of those pieces because we wanted other people to have a simple, easy way in order to be able to understand how to add that strategic rest practice into their life so they can maximize their leadership and their life and what ultimately they're called to do.
yes. Ooh, I love it. The NAP framework is fire. If you're watching us live, put some fire emojis in the chat. We'll be checking it out later. NAP framework, you're ready. And also remember, you can catch Dr. Erin every Sunday. Is it Dr. Erin?
That's
On
right.
her
Every
YouTube channel.
Sunday on
Yeah.
10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Come check me out. Give me some good comments in there.
Yes, and we have the YouTube handle wherever you're listening or watching into the podcast. We have it up on screen right now. It's at NAP. Just go there.
That's
If
right.
you're watching this on YouTube, just go ahead and subscribe right now and let us know that
Right
you've been
now.
watching us here on Mindset Mastery Moments. Dr. Erin, one of the things you mentioned a little bit earlier that I want to bring us back to is the relationship intelligent piece when you talk about it as a leader's superpower. I love this because success often rises or falls on the quality of our relationships, right? How has
Right.
relationship changed the way you lead, and how can it help others if they're listening to us now and they want to understand that?
Absolutely. One of the most important, I would say, when people go, "Oh, how are you doing all of these things? How do you make all this stuff happen?" I tell people one of my top three things, right? I would say strategic rest, of course,
Yes.
right? But one of the biggest heavy hitter tools for myself is my ability to leverage relationship intelligence. Okay. So, in its simplest form, relationships with people are connections, right?
Right.
But we actually walk the world with people who are motivated in 7, according to this assessment that I absolutely love. It's called Total SDI. And if you're interested in taking that assessment and finding out how you're motivated, how you experience conflict, your top skills, and even how people may perceive your top skills done overdone, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at my website or either on LinkedIn, wherever you'd like. Let me know, and I'm happy to help you get your hands on that so you can know exactly, right?
Right.
But here we are motivated in a combination of 3 different ways, okay? So, most people are motivated either through performance, process, or people.
Mm.
Okay. I myself am motivated by a blend. That was the word that I was looking for. So each of us have a blend
Yes.
of all 3 of those, but some are higher and some are lower,
Okay.
right? So for me, I have a close equal blend, and that's exactly what this total SDI assessment will tell you with performance and process, right? So you probably see that. I'm always talking about getting it done, but I have a literally strategic way and process in order to do it, right?
Right.
Now, let me tell you why this is incredibly important through an example of myself when I was working back in higher education. Okay. So I was a senior leader in higher education, and one of the people that worked for me, I had never experienced anyone who didn't enjoy working for me. Now, if there's somebody out there who's worked for me and you didn't enjoy, this is not your
You're the
time
problem.
to come and let us know. Okay.
No, they were
But
the
for the
problem.
most part,
If you don't enjoy working
okay.
with a Libra, you're the problem. So
You are the problem, okay? So I would dare say that most people that have worked for me have enjoyed that experience, right? Mostly because I try to be a boss that goes, or a supervisor that goes, tell me what you want to do and let's get you experiences to help you move to that next piece. My job as a leader and as a supervisor has always been to remove roadblocks and to treat people like they're experts in their lane so they can do what they need to do. And so that's how I rock and roll, and people usually vibe with that so well, right? Okay. Well, fast forward to one of my senior leadership roles, and I had someone who worked for me that I was like, I don't understand why this is not working. I do not enjoy working with this person. She does not get where I'm coming from. I don't understand, right? So enter this assessment that several of us were taking. So total SDI came into my life at that time period. So we took the assessment, and it clearly showed me why she did not understand any of the words. Who was that? I think it was Chris Tucker. Was that him who said, do you understand any of the words that are
coming
coming
out of
out of
my
my mouth?
mouth.
Because
Yeah. No, I
she
do not get it.
she would not understand any of the words that were coming out of my mouth. And it became super clear to me that the reason that she wasn't is because she was motivated by a high blend of people, and I was motivated by an incredibly low blend of
People.
people. So
Wow.
every time I would explain to her why we needed to do something, I would say it because we're trying to be the best department. We're trying to be the best university. We're trying to create the blueprint for how other people would do this, when the whole time I needed to be painting the picture for her about how this impacted
People.
people.
You guys are speaking, you're speaking Dutch, she's speaking French, and that's the only languages you know.
A
Nobody's
hundred
communication
percent.
is not happening.
Percent. It would be going, her little eyes would just
Glaze.
glaze over, and that would be what happened. Once I was armed with that tool, which is why it's transformational
Yes.
for the universities, for the corporations, for the teams that I use it for, they have these huge aha moments because they go, oh my goodness, the whole time I've been talking to you like this when I needed to be telling it to from
Right.
this
Right.
motivation system, right? So once I started to talk with her and go, hey, I want to do this project because it'll impact students in this way, she went from someone who I was 2 minutes from firing to one of my
Most
favorite
cooperative
employees that
employees.
I've
Yes.
ever worked with. Even still now, she reaches out and goes, the things that you taught me have helped me be amazing in these new roles that I have since we don't, work, neither one of us work at that same place anymore. But it's so important for us to understand that people are motivated differently. And once we're able to unlock that, even about our own selves, we can advocate for ourselves in the projects we do better, the spaces, the jobs that you literally apply for. You're like, hey, will I be doing things that allow me to really be in
Yeah.
my bag, right? Than things that are outside of that. And then it also changed the way that I understood conflict,
Mhm.
right? That was such a big deal. Think about relationships, right? Some of the best relationships that we have, the ones that are our strongest, have experienced conflict.
Yes.
But we've been able to walk our way back from that conflict because, ironically, we actually only experience conflict when our motivation value systems are being attacked.
Come on. Motivation
When
values. I love the way that's articulated.
when our motivation value systems are attacked, that is when we often experience conflict, right?
Yes.
When someone gets in the way of me being really productive, that's when I start to experience conflict. But here's the thing, right? We can also, in our relationships, keep things, and that's why relationship intelligence is so important because understanding the difference between opposition and conflict makes all the difference. Now, let's say I have come to pick you up and I'm standing in your hotel room and you put on some shoes and we're getting ready to go. And I say, "Oh, hold on, Dr. Alisa, are you going to wear those shoes? It's going to rain today, so you might want to change them,
Right.
right?" And you go, "Oh, thanks, Erin. Okay, good looking out. I appreciate that, right?" And we keep moving. Now, let's rewind and go back. Now, let's say we knew each other for a while, okay? And now I'm standing in your room. You put the shoes on, and I go, "Oh, you never know how to dress. Why?" See, I didn't even really say that to you for
Real.
real.
And I'm like,
And your reaction,
it's adverse.
exactly.
It's an adverse reaction. Already got all my
Exactly.
spikes going.
That
What do you mean I don't know how to dress? Look at what
now
you're
what
wearing.
changed?
You never know how to
What
dress. You
changed?
didn't even iron your shirt. You see?
Exactly.
I'm going off now.
You are going off.
Yes.
And let me tell you the one thing that separates the first conversation from the second one is that it got personal. That's it.
Yes.
Conflict only happens when it gets personal. That's the difference between opposition because we had an opposing thought. You thought those shoes were a good idea. I did not. That was opposition. You changed shoes. We went off and had lovely brunch and had a good old time, right? But what changed in that second situation was literally that it got personal, right? And once something like that happens, once we experience conflict, this is even more amazing to me about this assessment. So knowing this helps change the game, and I'm gonna tell you why, right? So understanding what you experience in conflict, because we actually experience it in three different stages. But if you want to know more about that, let me know. I'm happy to come in and talk to you about it. But let's just stay in that first stage of conflict. So for me, when something gets personal, when I'm experiencing conflict, my first stage of conflict is to assert. Okay.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's going to be sweet and southern because that's me, right? It may be with a smile, but I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm going to tell you I'm not eating that. I'm going to tell you I don't love that. But other people may either, there's three different blends that we have. So assert, accommodate, and analyze, right? But for me, my first stage is always to assert. Exactly. So one of the things before I understood relationship intelligence and understood how I experience conflict and that people experience it actually in 14 different ways than I could, right? Or
Wow.
13 different ways
That's a
than I
lot.
did.
That's a
It
lot. This is why we have so much conflict because we don't even understand each other.
Correct. Correct. And that people experience it differently, because that's exactly what I
Yeah.
was about to say.
13 other ways.
So if I was in conflict with you, right? Kind of like how love languages are.
Right.
We tend to lean towards our love language, even though we're supposed to be loving people
In
in
their
their
language.
language. So I would assume if you did not assert, you were not upset. Our relationship was fine.
Fine. And this whole time I am pissed off.
Correct. You may have just accommodated because that's your first stage of conflict,
Yes,
right?
I check with people like that. I feel like anytime you don't, I don't, this is why I
Uh,
do the check. I'm like, are you, and it doesn't mean they've shown me anything, but I'm like, if I notice you were going to say something different than what I think, or your eyes just move, or I just hear silence, I'm like, are you sure you're comfortable with this? Because I want to make sure you're okay. Because a lot of people
Absolutely.
are more, because society has forced us to be accommodating. I
Mhm.
think most people are not naturally accommodating. We programmed to be accommodating. Does that sound right to you?
Mm.
Is that science? Or do you think that a lot of people just
That's
are?
a lot of people actually just are. I mean, this assessment, total SDI, the one that I use, has been done by millions and millions of people at this point. I think maybe close to 7 at this point. So I would say that there are quite a few people who naturally accommodate, and it's
Well,
not
how
a bad
about why
thing.
when we were kids we weren't naturally accommodating? Can I borrow your can I play with you? Like, no, mine. So this is why
Really think
you see what I'm saying? Like
I
we
truly think
became that,
that
but we aren't as humans naturally accommodating like we're programmed to be. So it does become natural, but it's not our first nature.
yeah.
That's why in the back of my mind it was like,
Now listen, I want you to think back. I want you to really think back to the play yard,
yeah,
okay? Because while you may have gone, I don't want to do that, think about all the other children who went home and told their mom that this person snatched something from me, or they pushed me, or they did this and they didn't do
they
anything.
did right.
So my guess is that yes, your first stage of conflict may be to assert, but there are lots of people around us that
Did
naturally
not. That's true.
correct,
Yeah,
right?
we're
Or they
arguing.
may have
I'm not arguing. We're having a difference in opinion, but I can
correct,
see what you're saying because you're articulating it on a
correct,
level that I can understand. We went right back to the play yard that I've been playing it. If you're
correct, right?
following,
And
this is
even
all impromptu, but we're actually doing it on purpose so you can understand how it works. Like I'm actually doing what I'm doing on purpose, creating a difference in opinion with Dr. Erin and modeling how you can she's bringing me over, I'm bringing her over and we're able to agree and disagree at the same time. But I see everything you're saying and you see
absolutely,
mine. But it's two
absolutely,
sides of the same coin.
of the same coin. And the reason, again, like I talked about, that this is not like going back and forth and we can have a different thought process about
Yes.
it is because it didn't get personal. It's just opposition, right? And when we use that in our relationship intelligence, when we're good stewards and good practitioners of relationship intelligence, you can literally use relationships in order to get the results that you want. And that's a big piece of why it's important. Don't get me wrong, there are phenomenal skills that to me, other people that you need to be a leader, right? But to me, one of the most impactful skills in order to get the results that you want, to be the kind of leader that you want, and that can lead people in a way that they want to meet the mission and to make goals is through really understanding and having a deep understanding of how to leverage relationship intelligence. And that's what I do in my consulting firm, Design Ideal Consultant, is help people understand that about
Yeah.
themselves and then how to leverage it in everyday life.
That is a powerful tool. I believe that if we would save a lot of marriages and a lot of people will actually be able to benefit from the team of
Yes.
professionals around them in corporations. There would
Yes.
be so much because how many times and we use the term I have to always be the bigger one. So
Mm,
so that is
mhm.
talk to us about that because I am now trained as a leader based on your
Yeah.
formula. However, I am not the manager or I'm not in a management role on the team. I went to Dr. Erin's retreat. I'm fired up, but I'm the only one that my company paid to go. How do I come back and interact with these people that don't understand and know what I do? What does that look like for me?
Absolutely. So that to me is 100% why this matters, right? So by understanding number 1 how you're motivated and then understanding that there's different motivation value systems out there, you can start listening to the thing that somebody hones in on. So let's say I'm having a conversation with you and I don't know exactly, which this will be so fun. I think I'm going to send you an assessment, have you do it, and it would be
Absolutely.
so fun to come back
Yes,
and
we will
debrief
on it
yours.
on here.
I think with people seeing it, that idea came to me as we were
That'll
sitting
be a
here, so we're
great
gonna work
next
that out
show for us. Yes.
for sure. Okay, so let's say you get your results, right? And you're like, "How do I leverage these?" So you will start, number 1, understanding that maybe the person doesn't hear it the same way I do. So how do I play with some of the other spaces? And as you're listening, you start to ask yourself, is this person focusing on the process more? Are they focusing on getting it done, so the performance piece more? Or are they focusing, like the whoever the other person is, on people, right? So you're already starting to kind of eliminate what those are, and then you can start to use actionable language to help them see things or hear it, right? Or provide information in the way that helps you to be able to shape the outcomes that you're interested in. Does that make sense? So even though I'm motivated by performance and process, I have worked for multiple supervisors, especially in the higher education space. Once I moved to, more corporate spaces, then we started to get more people who were motivated a lot by
Oh,
performance, if
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yes.
But when I worked in spaces where the person was motivated by people, like I talked about with that employee, I would have to, even though I was trying to get the exact same thing done, I would need to change my language to talk about how it impacted people, how it would make the space feel, how this training would help people grow, how it would do that. Even though for me, I wanted it to be efficient, I wanted it to save us time, I
Yes.
wanted it to help us be the people that people called in order to do it. Now,
Yes.
I would still be able to get what I was trying to do done, but understanding it and being able to communicate it from a different lens changes the game for you as a high level communicator, but also someone who is also able to do the things that you're trying to do. So I would say that this is just as important, even if you're not the top leader, which is why I come and do this for uh, leadership programs throughout. Like Leadership Fort Worth is one that I do this for, even for people who are mid level managers or just starting to go into management, because it helps your awareness of how to talk to different people around what that is, but also to advocate for yourself on what you need in order to thrive in workspaces.
Fire. So you all see there's no excuse in you saying, what is the point? Because I hear this a lot in corporate spaces.
Mhm.
What's the point of them sending us and they not going? If they send
Yep.
you, go. So you
Yep.
can negotiate with your organization if you have that. Most companies, larger companies, nonprofit or else, do have some of you get
Yes.
a certain amount annually that you can use towards professional development.
Yes.
You can literally
Yes.
advocate if you're watching or listening to us, you can advocate
Yes.
that your organization work out a deal with Dr. Erin. This is just my thought.
Yes.
Work out a deal with Dr. Erin that you maybe and a few others, and if they don't, ask them to pay her for you so you can get the two. It doesn't matter. If you get it, you got it. And the thing
Yes.
about this, Dr. Aaron, it applies relationship intelligence apply in all relationships. This will be the tool you
Oh,
use with your mother, with your sister, with your
yes.
husband, with the boyfriend, with the boo,
Yes.
with the boohoo, with your
Yes.
stepdaughter. When you're
Yes.
functioning that way, it will break a wall down that really exists amongst us, right?
100%. I went into a corporation recently, a nonprofit actually, and I had someone who of course got it done through her work, right? So of course her job paid for it. She reached back out and was like, "I need my boyfriend to do this before I know if we're going to move forward because I want to know how he's motivated." I've had multiple couples come and go like this. For me, it has been amazing to understand how my husband is
Yes.
motivated because I'm able, when we're talking about things like our finances, when we're talking about things that are important, life goals for our family, to be able to say it in a way that he's motivated changes the game because it's different from me. So, absolutely. And you would be so surprised the number of clients that I have that are not necessarily, now don't get me wrong, I have lots of executives and VPs and CEOs who call me and go, come do this for my whole management team. But I have had multiple clients come from me doing it for one person who is not even close to executive level, them walking in and saying, I just want to share my results that I got from this because it was so eye opening. I got this from this amazing Dr. Erin, and she did this session that I was in a group, in a leadership group somewhere else. And then they bring me in to do that for the whole team because they go, I need this information for everyone. I
Yes.
need this for my entire team at this hotel that I've done it for. I've done it for people at Marriott. We always say Marriott because that's how they pronounce their name. Even though people say Marriott all the time,
Right.
they pronounce their name Marriott. For Hilton, for all of these different companies that I work with and do this information with. But a lot of it starts from that one person who may not even be the executive leader going like, I need this
For
information and I'm going to
myself.
share it
Yes.
with someone in leadership.
So powerful. And I love that it focuses, I haven't heard of it. This is my first time. And it focuses on the communication style, which a lot of other assessments do have a component in there for how to communicate. For example, this does. But this for me is so specific. And it's also to me a little bit less cumbersome, if I can say, from just
Yes,
hearing, because some things just get too much. And again, based on the type of personality that we're dealing with, some people are not attracted to all that bulk. Like my partner, that would just, if disc, he likes it, but he doesn't care to like be unpacking it because it's a lot. But for anyone, for me, this sounds so simple and straightforward. It's a tool like you
yes,
didn't even, I guess maybe because I do have a psychological behavior approach to life, it already is a part of my like I already put it in my packet and I haven't even done it yet. I don't even know the basis of it, but it sounds so simple that a caveman can do it.
yes.
And again, I am not
And it
trying to
is.
promote it. Just I feel like if we can have, like, when we think about politics and a lot of the political environments, like I'm sitting here listening to these people saying the same thing and it's still an argument. Like,
Yes.
what in the world?
Yes, and it has so much to do with literally the direction in which you're saying it. If you're telling me how it's gonna impact just people, we're talking about birthdays and we're talking about all these different things, then I'm trying to get it from you. But if you're telling me about how it's gonna create, how we're gonna move forward, how this project is gonna be done, how it's gonna be successful, then I'm gonna hear you talk about that and you can still do it for the benefit of other people. But yes, it is so fantastic. I literally keep my results in my drawer. That's how often I look back at
Wow,
mine,
that's awesome.
literally,
But it's only one
because it
page,
provides.
Dr. Aaron?
No, so it's actually, that's so funny because we weren't even gonna talk about this and then we got
You got
into
it.
it. I
Yes,
love
because
it.
it's so important.
It's actually in really cool pages of information. So it's incredibly in depth, and I love to do this. Every one of my executive coaching clients, we do this STI because it helps. So oftentimes when people are coaching, they're just kind of coaching from your problem, right? And helping you kind of think through what some of those experiences are. And hopefully, if you've got a fantastic coach, asking you the right
Question.
questions, because
Right.
that's what coaches should be doing,
It's
right?
cross.
But so one of the things that changes the game for me when I'm working with my executive coaching clients or just debriefing this information for leaders who are interested in it. And when I say leaders, because people get a little nervous
They
when you
think
say leaders,
managers. They
right?
think managers.
Managers, if you literally even have a family at home,
You
even if
are
you
a
don't, even if you
leader.
just go to church, even if you go wherever, you
Are
are a leader
please
and
understand.
you
Yes.
should know this information about yourself, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's it, period. I'll stop there.
Right.
But when I do this information with leaders, it literally is just so game changing because they have all the information that they need. And so when I do it with executive coaching clients, we don't just come from the standpoint of helping you just solve the problems that you have or the issue that you're trying to do, but we also help you see how your lens can be different from other people, and we use that as a foundation to help you understand why you may be experiencing things that way
Mhm.
and how to kind of move around it, because we actually understand deeply how you are motivated, how you're experiencing conflict, and what are the skills and strengths that you've actually been using, and what the perception of those strengths when they're overdone could be doing to impact your relationships negatively.
I love it. I love it. So powerful.
Mhm.
That is so transformation. I love that we got to spend a good quality of time on that, even though it necessarily, but it's one of the tools that you bring to the space
Yes.
of leadership
Yes.
and just life evolution, just people just being
Yes.
empowered in what they do. Oh my gosh, Dr.
Yes.
Erin, we're in Flip the Script where we ask our guests what is one thing that they had to change their mindset in the area of what changed and how did it impact the outcome of what you were trying to do? And you flip your own mindset.
Love that question. For my mindset, the flip for me was that my well-being is not optional, period. My well-being, your well I'm gonna look deep into the camera for somebody who needs to hear this today. Your well-being is
Not
not
optional.
optional.
Oh, I love this.
We keep operating out here like it is optional, like we have like we shouldn't prioritize it, and by no means am I telling you to be selfish. You don't have to you don't your well-being not being optional doesn't mean that you're not selfish, right? I give of myself selflessly to leaders, to different people who need me, but I always prioritize my well-being so that they
Course.
get this version, the best version of Erin that they can receive, so that I can be walking in what my calling and my purpose, so that they get that Erin, right? So your well-being is not optional, it's a strategy, right? And I want people, if they don't remember anything else from this conversation, to really make sure that they rest like their legacy depends on it, because it does.
It does. Your legacy depends on you being strategic with your rest. Ooh, love it. It's not
Absolutely.
an option. Dr. Erin, after everything that you've accomplished and all the wonderful things you have planned, what is success to you now?
A success to me now is a few things, right? I want my consultant firm to still, of course, be successful for many, many years to come. I want it to be one of the many things that helps me to leave a legacy that allows people to be their best selves. But honestly, success for me looks like constant striving to be self aware, to prioritize strategic rest for myself and give that as a gift to people who have not been prioritizing it and looking for ways to build in and pause and to protect their boundaries. And finally, it looks like success for me looks like finding new and exciting ways to celebrate people that honor their energy and honor it well, and also to surround myself with people that value each other and value helping each other be the best that we can be. Right. I'm going to talk about that in my show tomorrow, talking about gatekeeping,
I
right?
can't wait for
How,
that.
like, I think I shared that with you, talking about how surrounding yourself with people who don't gatekeep, right, is one of those undervalued relationships kind of pieces that
Yes.
you need in order to be a leader. But yeah, that I have like found a way to surround myself with people who are so excited about my success the same way that I will be excited about
That
theirs.
is priceless. Priceless.
Yeah.
Priceless. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So, so good. Dr. Erin, we do Mindset Bites to go. It's where I step away from the video and the audio, and it's just you and the audience, giving them about 90 seconds of transformational tips that they can go with today. I am going to
All right. So the first thing that I would say is, for sure, We need to be out here scheduling rest like it's a meeting, okay? If you don't do anything else, because we all know if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen. So I need you all to rest well, to make good decisions, and to really think about how you can show up as the best version of yourself for the people who you care about. And as a leader, self awareness is incredibly important. And so, really making sure that you understand who you are in each of the spaces that you show up in, the unique strengths. And again, if you don't know what those unique strengths are, you better reach out to me because I'm happy to help you discover those. But just knowing that you have been called for a time such as this. There is no other you, and you may be the thing, right? You not jumping into the space that you're supposed to be in may make other people miss the blessing that you are. So, if you don't do anything else, I want you to realize that you do not have to be brave to be bold.
Dr. Erin, you have been such a phenomenal guest. So now everybody wants to know. We've been talking about it all along because I couldn't wait till the end as we go along. What is your favorite way for our guests to connect with you?
Oh my goodness. I am in building mode and creating a community there. And we're going to continue to have phenomenal. So I show up in my robe every Sunday to have a conversation with you. So I want you to be there. Also, get to know me on LinkedIn, Dr. Erin Wilson, right there on LinkedIn. And that way we can connect. Check out my website if you're interested in doing total SDI. So you can absolutely rock the game moving forward when it comes to your leadership and your life. I'm happy to do that for you and then do a fantastic debrief session. You guys, thank you so much for listening today. Listen, it was just a joy and privilege to spend this space with you. It feels like we've known each other absolutely forever. Thank you for the work that you do to uplift people and to change their mindset. You are just a joy and a gem, and I'm so glad to know you now, right? We just met today, but I'm so glad to
Whole
know you
lives for this
forever.
reunion. It's a reunion. To our listeners and viewers, go to Dr. Erin's YouTube. It is at Power Nap Live. I've been subscribed there for weeks as soon as I got her details and we were connecting over getting on this podcast. So it was phenomenal. I do watch it. She is fun and full of energy. She's even better over there than she was on here today, as if you can really be better. All her information is going to be wherever you're listening and watching for this. Go to www.designidealconsultant.com. That's the hub for all things Dr. Erin Wilson. And get her book, Strategic Rest and Leadership, on Amazon. Get her. Girl, I got
Yes.
you. Don't worry. I got you
Thank
because
you.
I got my copy. So I already ordered my copy. So I'm going to get it autographed when I come to Fort Worth next month. But listen, guys, don't forget, she does have a free gift. It's called the Relationship Intelligence Checklist for Leaders. And that's on your website, right, Dr. Erin?
That's right. That's right under my website. As soon as you go under offerings for, of course, teams and different things like that, scroll all the way to the bottom and you will get that absolute checklist. And that'll help even remind you, especially if you want to know even deeper about your specific motivation value system, the way you experience conflict and your strengths and overdone strengths. That's the perfect place to do that.
And guess what, guys? I will get the link for you and make sure our team puts it right here where you're listening to the podcast so you can go directly and take that. But it's no real good if you don't go through the whole process. So you can put that into place and really power up your life, career, and all your business and professional relationships as well. Listen, Disruptors, it has been such a blast. Dr. Erin, again, thank you so much. You're so amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Keep mastering your mindset, Disruptors. Think, speak, do become, and we'll see you on another episode of Mindset Master Moments. Bye now.